Hi there, my name's Miles and welcome to my channel. For those who don't know, I have schizophrenia, and today I'm going to take a look at merchandise that features this serious mental disorder, cataloging the good, the bad, and the ugly. Which items hit their mark, and which ones just spread harmful misinformation. Find out that and more as I journey through the internet in search of the truth. Before we begin, let's quickly define what schizophrenia is. Schizophrenia is a mental illness characterized by thoughts or experiences that are out of touch with reality, disorganized speech or behavior, and decreased participation in daily activities. It's a serious condition that involves a breakdown in the relation between thought, emotion, and behavior, leading to faulty perception, inappropriate actions and feelings, withdrawal from reality and personal relationships, and a descent into fantasy or delusion. With that out of the way, let's get into it. So the first item on today's list is a t-shirt that says, "I may be schizophrenic, but at least I have each other." And I'm just gonna go ahead and be honest, guys, I don't like this one at all. But before I start bashing it, I'm gonna go ahead and just be generous by saying that this is put out by a t-shirt company that most likely hasn't necessarily done their research when it comes to what they put on their t-shirts. And that doesn't only go for the subject matter, but also the grammar. Yeah, that's just kind of off. It should say, but at least we have each other, if the message that I think it's trying to get across is actually correct. While this t-shirt is talking about schizophrenia, it is making a fatal mistake, in that it's relating schizophrenia to another mental disorder called multiple personality disorder, or more commonly, dissociative identity disorder. These two mental illnesses are not the same thing, though they are commonly confused. While schizophrenia may share some common symptoms with multiple personality disorder or dissociative identity disorder, the main point is that they are both very separate conditions. People with schizophrenia do not have multiple personalities, like this shirt seems to imply. Schizophrenics may hear voices that sound like other people or hallucinate other people, but there's no discrepancy in their singlehood. They are one person, with no other identities at play. So this shirt definitely kind of rubs me the wrong way. Next up, we have this lovely, and I'm being sarcastic, shirt that says, "I have a gun and am schizophrenic." Now, I found this one on AliExpress, so I'm not going to go too hard on whoever created it once again, but I have actually seen various shirts, mugs, and I think even a pencil with this quote on it, and I don't like it at all. I'm gonna go ahead and just say that anybody who deals with a serious mental illness should not be messing around with weapons. And the only caveat to that would be if it's in a monitored environment with somebody they trust. This shirt is just blatantly unfair. Nobody in their right mind would proudly say that they have a serious mental illness and they handle a very dangerous weapon. That's just ridiculous. Why would you want to share this information? Doing this on a t-shirt is like waving a big red flag saying I could be potentially dangerous. And for people who suffer through a mental illness like this, they already know the inherent dangers. This shirt's just insensitive and ignorant. And while I guess it's a joke, it's not a very good one. This is a very dire picture that it paints, and I don't think that I would personally proclaim that on a shirt with any sort of confidence. Our next t-shirt says, "Having schizophrenia is easy, like riding a bike, except the bike is on fire. You're on fire. Everything is on fire." And honestly, my first inclination when I see this is to laugh because in some way it's very, very relatable. Now this shirt is actually one that I found on Etsy, so somebody actually put thought into what they were putting on here, and it seems like they at least know some small bit about what schizophrenia is like. The joke that it's easy, like riding a bike on fire, is just incredibly relatable to me. Obviously, you can live your life just like riding a bike, but doing so while on fire is an incredibly hard feat to achieve. This shirt makes that comparison while being thought-provoking and encouraging empathy. Therefore, this one gets my sign of approval. 10 out of 10 would totally wear. While I was hanging out on Etsy, I also found this shirt that said, "Schizophrenia, 1 star, terrible, would not recommend it." And while this is funny, it's just slightly negative, so I don't know that I'd wear it personally, but I could see where I could find a market. As far as satirical shirts go, this one definitely hits its mark. Then we come to this shirt that says, "Schizophrenia beats dining alone." And while initially I do have to admit this made me laugh, there are a few things that I find frustrating. Now this one's from a custom tee site, so somebody did probably create this, I would say, but I am definitely not giving them a free pass because this is one that I just can't slide by. If schizophrenia were this happy little mental disorder where you could spawn up your favorite character or person to have as a guest over dinner, then sure, this is the t-shirt for you. But that's not how it works. A lot of times when I was hearing voices or hallucinating, I would lose my appetite altogether. Sometimes I would even fully forget meals because the voices and hallucinations were so distracting. So this t-shirt, while it is kind of interesting and maybe funny in its own right, is probably just a little bit ill-informed. And here's another t-shirt that absolutely makes my blood boil, and I'll tell you why. This one proudly proclaims, "I'm schizophrenic, and so am I." Once again, this t-shirt goes back to relating multiple personality disorder or DID to schizophrenia, and as you will all know if you've made it this far in the video, they are not the same thing. But here's what makes it even worse. While I'm not actually familiar with this site, this t-shirt is incredibly expensive, only has one color to choose from, and it's shown not only on a man, but a woman, and arguably the most concerning, a child. Yeah, when I saw this, I was literally sick to my stomach. Guys, don't put your kids in t-shirts that don't make sense and spread misinformation. That's just a bad choice all around. This t-shirt is probably the worst on today's list because it just goes out and proudly proclaims schizophrenic and dangerous. Like that's something to be proud of or share with people. I mean, come on, how many people's shirts do you read during a day, and then how many people do you actually go up to, shake their hand, and get to know them? If this is the first thing people are seeing about you, what kind of a message is that giving them? Either way, this one does not mince words in connecting schizophrenic people or even people with serious mental disorders to dangerous activity, which, while it can unfortunately be the case, is not normally directed at those outside of themselves. In fact, people with schizophrenia are more likely to self-harm than they are to harm those around them. So yeah, not a fan of this one at all. But in case you wanted to know, it comes in 15 different colors and is available on Etsy. Seriously, Etsy? You gotta do better. While I was on Etsy searching for redemption, I ran into this one that just says Psych ward survivor. And yeah, if you know, you know. But just in case you don't, anyone who's ever been to a psych ward feels like they've been to another planet. And while I'd love to say more, I'll probably leave it at that for this video because I could talk about this subject and be here for the next 20 hours. But if you have done time in a psych ward and come out on the other side, then maybe this shirt speaks to you like it speaks to me. And I think it's pretty funny. Once again though, if this is the first thing you want people to know about you, then be prepared for conversation. And if not, you might want to go choose another shirt to wear. This next shirt is one of my personal favorites because it's done by a creator here on YouTube, and this is their official website. And the shirt says, "I'm mentally ill and I don't kill." The media has a secret agenda of portraying people with mental illnesses to be these horrible, violent, uncaring people, when in reality, as I've mentioned before, that's not really the truth. This shirt goes ahead and without mincing words, lovingly offers a correction. Mentally ill people are not all killers. We're not all out to get you. Most of the time, we're just trying to make it to the end of the day. If you're interested in supporting this creator, they do have a channel, which I will show below, and they do have merch like this in their store for very reasonable prices, so go ahead and check them out. For this next one, we head back onto Etsy for someone doing something right. This one is actually a personal favorite of mine because not only does it feature the Schizophrenia awareness ribbon, but it also shares that people dealing with schizophrenia are fighting a war. Sometimes every week, possibly every day, and for some, every hour. This t-shirt very kindly reminds people who see it that those dealing with mental illnesses such as schizophrenia are warriors, and they're fighting each and every day to stay connected to the world we all share. This one comes in a bunch of different colors and is super cute. So if you're interested, head over to Etsy because this shirt is currently on sale for 25% off. So bouncing back to Amazon, we have another shirt that I really like which says hope is stronger than schizophrenia. This one also features the awareness ribbon and comes in a bunch of different colors. Hope is one fundamental piece of surviving any serious mental illness. And this shirt is loud and proud, sharing that message in a way that you can't ignore. This last one actually holds a very special place in my heart because it says, "In this family, no one fights alone." and it has the schizophrenia awareness ribbon and schizophrenia awareness on the bottom. And the really cool thing about this one is it comes in a variety of sizes from small to 5 times extra large, a variety of different colors, and comes in t-shirt form, long sleeve form, and hoodie form. If you're part of a family and you have schizophrenia, their support not only means the world to you, but can actually be a defining factor in how well you do moving forward. I would have been so proud to have family members wear a t-shirt like this for me. So if you're a family member of someone with schizophrenia, I would consider getting this t-shirt. I'm sure it would mean the world to your loved one. The last one on today's list is one that absolutely made me laugh when I saw it. For this one, we are still on Amazon, and it says, "I make schizophrenia look good," with a picture of a dabbing unicorn. So this could go both ways. On one end, I could say that if I wore this shirt, it would probably be for satire because I don't always make my mental illness look glamorous, or even on some days manageable. But all that aside, this t-shirt is funny, and on a good day, it would make a very amusing conversation piece. What do you think about this one? If you had schizophrenia, would this be something that you would wear? Let me know in the comments section below. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed my journey through some of the merchandise options for people with schizophrenia online. Some of them were downright disrespectful, some were funny, some were frustrating, and altogether, it's been a wild ride. I want to say a huge thank you to the people who are out there spreading the right messages. I absolutely support you, and I hope you continue doing what you're doing long into the future. Alright guys, that's all for today. Hope you enjoyed the video. I love you all, and stay awesome. Bye! Hi guys, Miles here. Welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to talk about 5 things from the psych ward that make no sense. That's literally all there is to say, so let's get right into it. Number 1. This horrible hospital gown that barely hides your decency, yet is somehow passable because it's not as alluring as the shorts and tank top that you brought from home. Number 2. This toothbrush, which could easily be made into a mini catapult, but is handed out freely for immediate weaponization. Number 3. This conditioner substitute that doesn't work, making your hair cry for help while you're supposed to be practicing self-care. Number 4. These universally ugly socks, which are rarely ever the right size and are always handed out in repulsive colors. Not to mention, they're incredibly uncomfortable. Yeah, I want my socks from home. And number 5. This underarm deodorant that won't stand a chance against hardcore stress sweat. Yeah, you're on your own with that one. And if you're still around, I'll throw in a bonus. Today's bonus is this wonderful little drug called trazodone. Because if you can't sleep peacefully with someone flashing a light at you and walking into your room every 15 minutes, you obviously need meds. Sweet dreams. Okay, but for real guys, this is just kind of me making fun of some of the things I noticed during my recent hospitalization. If you are a fan of my channel, you'll know I post things like this every once in a while, poking fun at things that don't always make other people laugh. This is my way of coping, and if you don't agree with it, that's okay. Everyone deals with things differently, so if you do leave a comment, please be positive. Thanks! If you enjoy content like this, then maybe consider subscribing to the channel. If you're already subscribed, hit that bell button for notifications every time I do an upload, and if you feel like it, leave me a comment down below. I love talking with you guys. Okay, stay awesome everyone. Bye! Welcome everyone. My name is Miles, and today's project is a bit different. I have schizophrenia and was diagnosed in my teen years. However, as far back as I can remember, I've experienced hallucinations, both auditory and visual. Today I'm going to be showing you some pieces that may have alluded to that before my diagnosis. Let's begin. I was once a Daisy Girl Scout. During this time, I would go to meetings, had a vest with different badges and pins, and attended social events with other girls my age. It's in this book that we see the first few signs. Around the time that I was using this book, I was under 10 years of age. Here you can see a passage where they ask about my dreams. I believe they were inquiring as to dreams about what you'd like to be when you grow up, or where you'd like to see yourself in the future. But misunderstanding the prompt, I wrote, "I have dream friends," most likely alluding to the fact that I saw hallucinations, which I believed were part of my imagination and could come from my dreams. Throughout my years of being a schizophrenic, I've seen a lot of distortions in everyday life. This picture here, we were asked to draw our Girl Scout friends. For me, I drew them all huddled under some sort of awning, with strange devices hovering over them in the sky. While they're all smiling and seem carefree, I can't tell you what it is that's assaulting them from above. But if they were clouds, why would they be sectioned off into partitions with dots? I don't know. But I can only imagine what my young mind was trying to explain to the people around me. Next is a list we were prompted to make for class. I find this one interesting because I list some of my favorite things as cats, dogs, dolphin, but number 4 is scissors, even though I don't know how to spell it. I find this interesting because I have always had a very close relation with self-injurious behavior. It was one of the many methods I used to make the world around me all go quiet for a while. And even as a child, I'd always collected sharp objects. To know that I was so young that I couldn't even spell properly, yet listed them as one of the 4 things that were most important to me or my favorite in life, I find that very interesting. The second portion is where you see my limited perception of those around me. I'm supposed to list the differences between my favorite things and a friend's favorite things, but instead of finding different things for them, I simply list my own favorite things in a different order. The other reason I find this interesting is because I've replaced number 4, clearly understanding that my favorite thing, being the scissors, is not acceptable for another person. And while I did have friends at the time, I did spend marked time by myself with my hallucinations. So this leads me to believe that at the time, instead of going off and socializing, I may have just reordered my own ideas and then added something I thought was more acceptable. Another thing that I noted in the sketchbook I kept as a child is that a lot of my portraits were very distinct. I drew the same face repetitively with different garish, brightly colored adornments, wide open eyes, and a huge, almost unnatural smile. You can see that here with this blonde person and again in this photo as well. Then there's this picture. It was clearly one I'd drawn of myself and someone close to me, but I think it speaks more as to what was going on. You can see the larger figure reaching for the younger figure's hand, wearing a large smile and towering over the other figure. The smaller one, which I guess was my attempt to draw myself, is clearly leaning away, trying not to make contact with the larger figure. This reminds me a lot of when I would have tactile hallucinations, where I would feel bugs on my skin or crawling beneath my skin, and this made physical contact of any sort very uncomfortable. I was also very wary and paranoid of people, so I feel like this picture kind of depicts that distance between these two figures, myself and someone I want to connect with but don't feel comfortable doing so. As an animal lover, in these younger years, I drew a lot of animals in my sketchbook. I think this one was the most interesting though, because it seems like my attempt at some sort of dinosaur, but there are multiple eyes on its face. This was a small theme that went for a few years, where I saw facial distortions. I wonder if this is younger me transferring those distortions onto a hallucination and then drawing it in an attempt to show somebody what it was like. This, I believe, was a character from a movie I had watched as a child. I think the interesting part is that it made it into this sketchbook among a lot of brightly colored pictures of animals and was drawn with some similar features, but using only dark colors. In some way, this creature seems more normal than the strange faces I'd drawn previously. Whether this is a difference in perception of media and the real world, I can't say, but I found it interesting. Fast forwarding to my early teens, I kept a book where I wrote down some of the things that would happen to me, and I came across this. It's basically a map of my family's house. Only in this map you can see highlighted areas, and on the page beside this one, I give a detailed explanation of how these spaces are the ones where I can hear the voices most clearly. This was drawn as I was just approaching middle school. I thought I'd throw that in there as a final one, even though it was done around the time where I was being officially tested for a diagnosis, but found it interesting all the same that I had mapped spaces that were more susceptible to hearing voices. And interestingly enough, that my bedroom was one of these such places, because unfortunately, as I grew older, that's where I was trapped most of the time. Now, none of the earlier pictures are finite signs that I most certainly had schizophrenia as a child. That comes from family testimonies, observation, and years of outside help. So please don't think that by any means these are defining images that will tell you exactly that you have childhood schizophrenia. I just think it's interesting, now that I know that I'm a schizophrenic, going back and looking at what my younger mind had created while it was dealing with these things and couldn't properly explain them to others. Given that I believed all of these instances were imagination and that everybody could see these things that grown-ups couldn't, I never thought that there was anything wrong with them up until my early teen years. There are also various photos of me during first grade and second grade in a school planner that I stumbled upon, where group photos are being taken, and yet you can see me distinctly looking either in the opposite direction of the other children or down at the opposite corner. So I found that pretty interesting as well. That being said, I hope that you've enjoyed this project as I've shared a bit of my art from my younger years. Once again, this is not something to base a diagnosis off of, but if you do have questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below and I'll answer them each personally. Alright guys, I love you all and stay awesome. Bye. Hi guys, welcome back. Miles here, and today we are reacting to schizophrenic memes. Alright, let's get right into it. In this first one, you see a smiling guy saying schizophrenia has positive symptoms, and then he looks less happy and says positive doesn't mean good. So to explain this really quickly, with schizophrenia you can have positive and negative symptoms. They are termed that way, and that is how they're referred to. Positive symptoms are additional experiences and negative symptoms are lost experiences. An example of a positive symptom would be hallucinations, which is seeing or hearing things that aren't real. This would be an added symptom that is not necessarily present in most people's daily life. Likewise, an example of a negative symptom would be affective flattening, which is having impaired emotional expression. So it's something that takes away from the normal experience that somebody might have. Both of these things are usually present with schizophrenia, and this meme is just highlighting the fact that even though we call them positive symptoms, that does not mean that they're a good thing. In fact, they often make life much harder. Moving on. I can heavily relate to this one because it says ads, tries to make ads relevant. Then it says also ads, tells me how to treat schizophrenia. And then you've got a guy looking like, what? And then the voices in my head saying, don't listen to them. And yeah, I think this is super relevant because small things like that show up in everyday life actually do have a base in reality. The internet can track what you see and where you go and then relate ads to you. So it's very typical for that to happen. But as a schizophrenic, sometimes you will see that and paranoia just goes from 0 to 100 and suddenly it's the most important thing and everybody's spying on you and whatnot. So again, a really relevant one that I think makes a lot of sense probably to most schizophrenics, but I know definitely to me. Moving on, we have this adorable panda that says, neurotypical person makes a joke about schizophrenia, and the punchline is about DID. And we have already spoken about this on my channel, but schizophrenia and DID are two completely different things. Although unfortunately, they are mistaken for the same thing a lot, and due to lack of information and proper study, a lot of ill-timed jokes are made more concerning DID or MPD as it used to be called, and schizophrenia. Just to re-clarify, schizophrenia is a psychotic disorder, and it involves a detachment from reality as a whole. DID, formerly MPD, involves a fragmented sense of one's identity. So they are both completely different things. Please, please, tell a joke that makes sense. It might be helpful. Spreading misinformation, even if it's funny, makes me sad. I think this next one is actually my personal favorite because it's so true. And up top it says, "One day you will turn psychotic again." And then it shows this warrior looking person with the caption "Antipsychotics." And then at the bottom it says, "But today is not that day." And this is so true. A lot of the times antipsychotics come to the rescue and they suppress those super psychotic symptoms from becoming an everyday thing. Unfortunately, the reality of it is that most schizophrenics will have times when the antipsychotics work really well, have times when they don't work as well, and have times where they seem not to be working at all. The important part about this is that the condition is one that ebbs and flows. So even if you're on the right antipsychotic and they work, they might only work 80% of the time. And there's still going to be that small margin of time where you do have symptoms. Now, this isn't the case for everybody, but I myself can sort of advocate for this as pertaining to the meme where antipsychotics do come to the rescue a lot, but there are times when it seems like they take a day off. Moving on, this one says, "Does everyone at work have it in for me, or am I just a paranoid schizophrenic?" I don't know that paranoid schizophrenics would have the presence of mind to always ask this question, maybe if they're on really good medication. When I was first initially diagnosed as a child, I presented with a lot more paranoid features, and that became one of the determining symptoms of my schizophrenia. And at the time, regardless of what was going on, it all linked into my paranoid beliefs. So there was never a time where I looked at my situations subjectively and was like, could it be this or could it be that? It was always, they're out to get me, people want to harm me, everyone's spying on me. So this meme maybe seems a little bit less realistic to me, but I think if you did have the presence of mind, if you were on the right medications and you could actually ask about this distinction, it's a pretty good question to ask yourself. The possibility of everybody at work, and I mean everyone, having it out for you is relatively low. I mean, I don't know, there are some hostile workplaces, but I really hope that you don't work someplace where everyone has it out for you. So if you had the presence of mind to ask this question, it might just point back to your paranoia versus the actuality that everybody has it out for you. Because I'm just gonna say, in your normal life, that shouldn't be a thing. I don't know. If it is, I'm gonna pray for you. Continuing on, we have this one with a smiling guy pointing to his brain. And it says, "Can't be alone when you have schizophrenia." Oh my word, does this hit home? There are times when I was not on the right medication where you would go to the most private spot you could think about. And for me as a kid, that was one of my closets. And I would shut myself in the closet and I'd turn off all the lights and I would just bury my head in my hands and I'd cover my ears. And that does not make the voices go away. You can be in the most isolated place and still experience auditory hallucinations. So this meme definitely hits home, and I'm sure a lot of people can probably relate that you can try your best, but auditory hallucinations will remain with you even when you are completely alone. This next one is a series of pictures under the title of "Having Schizophrenia." And the first one says, "What society thinks I'm like with my family," and shows a girl with what I believe to be a chainsaw. Then it says, "Where society thinks I spend most of my days," and shows somebody in a hospital wearing a straitjacket, which, just to ease your mind, they don't use anymore. And then it shows a body with 3 different heads and says, "What society thinks I'm like in general." And that's once again the misconception that DID or MPD and schizophrenia are the same, or I think that's what the photo is trying to relay. Then it says, "What I'm really like with my family," and shows a group of people hugging each other out on the beach. Then it says, "Where I really spend most of my days," and pictures a woman sitting in front of a computer. And then "What I'm really like in general," and shows somebody peacefully sitting beside a lake, I think, just kind of relaxing. And I love that this meme is trying to kind of fight the stereotypes, but I don't know that the equivalents are all that realistic. I definitely don't wield a chainsaw like a maniac, but I have used weapons in the past against myself. I definitely don't spend all of my days in the hospital, but there have been times when that has been my residence for short periods. As for the misconception stated after this, that's completely true, so you got that right. When it comes to what you're like with your family, I think that one can be a little bit hard. I had a very rough relationship with my family and my siblings growing up, when I was going through things that I couldn't explain and I couldn't work through. When my schizophrenia was at its worst, I estranged a lot of my family and couldn't spend a lot of unsupervised time with my siblings. So in reality now, on the right medication, yes, I'm very close to and adore and absolutely love my family. But at the time, I don't know that I could say that bottom picture was completely representative of what it was like. As far as the lady sitting in front of the computer, I think that this is somewhat fair. I would like to say I don't spend all of my time in front of the computer, but I do spend a fair bit. And then the bottom one, life in general, I'm gonna have to just disagree, like flat out, because while there are calm or chill moments, like that is not the majority of the time. You will have ups, you will have downs, you will have shifts in symptoms, you will have positive symptoms or negative symptoms, time when medication works, times when medication doesn't. It can be a little bit of a roller coaster. So again, I like that this meme is trying to kind of fight certain stigma, but you still have to be realistic in doing so. This one is super funny because it said, started new antipsychotic, and you see a kid, holding up that fist like, I did it. And then on the bottom it says, no weight gain. And for a lot of sufferers, this is a true challenge where one has to decide, do I need to take this medication to live everyday life? And am I willing to make other personal sacrifices to achieve that? So yes, all in all, finding the right antipsychotic that does not have the added symptom of weight gain is definitely a win, I would say. Our next meme literally just says, brace yourself, psychosis is coming. And as somebody who experiences yearly bouts of a really bad psychosis, I can say that this is like spot on. I don't know who this guy is, call me uneducated, but he looks like he is ready for war, and a lot of times facing psychosis can be like war. So this one rings totally true. You can sometimes do everything you want to prepare and still be completely blindsided, but either way, most of the time when you're not in psychosis, you are preparing yourself or bracing yourself, as this meme says, for the time when it will affect you again. And it will, eventually. For most of us. Next we have this meme showing a guy taking off a pair of Walkman headphones, I believe, and it says, me checking to see if someone's actually talking to me or if it's just the voices in my head. I really like this one because I believe it sort of harkens to a time when you are on the right medication and you actually have to check versus being constantly in a state of thinking everything you hear is real. This idea that you have to check to see if someone's actually talking to you or if it's the voices, it relays that there are times when you're still having hallucinations, but there are also times when that's not the case and you assume that it is. And I have done this, I can raise my hand, I have done this myself, where I've heard something and I've thought that can't be real and it is, or I've heard something and I've thought, I wonder if this is real and it isn't. So there are times for both. And this meme kind of happily joins the two together, saying, yeah, that's reality. Though I have to say, on good meds, there are times when these sort of checking opportunities are way, way lessened. This one, I know this well. I am like a super old throwback person, but this is from The Princess Bride. And they have the caption that says, you keep saying the word schizophrenia. I do not think it means what you think it means. And you know what? A lot of the time, this is absolutely true. As we spoke about earlier, schizophrenia and DID are commonly confused with each other incorrectly. So please, before you make a joke or a comment that has anything to do with schizophrenia, maybe look up the definition, just to be safe. This next one is really sarcastic, but I thought I'd add it in here because I pretty heavily relate to this one, and it shows a string of DNA, and it says, I see you're a genius, that's nice, how'd you like some schizophrenia and depression along with it? And I think this is basically just kind of making fun of the fact that a lot of times people who are incredibly creative or really smart often have these life-altering conditions that sort of seem misplaced. I know in my regular life, I have always gotten really good grades. I have always been in gifted programs. I'm a super creative individual. I enjoy making music, media, art, and all those things. Sometimes people see those things and they're like, wow, you're just on top of the world. And the answer to that is, no, I am not. There are times when I can't do any of those things, but a lot of people who seem to succeed in so many ways can actually be either secretly or more publicly affected by severe mental illnesses like schizophrenia or depression or DID or bipolar disorder or any number of mental conditions. But that doesn't take away from the fact that you can be smart, successful, accomplished, or praised for what you do. While for whatever reason it seems like individuals who have a lot of gifts and talents end up with a severe mental illness, this is not always the case. But this meme kind of brings that to light, in that it is a trend and it can be seen across a lot of people who suffer with mental illnesses. So it's a good thing to point out. Trade-offs, people, trade-offs. We can't be perfect. So I had to include this one because this was a meme from when I was younger that I immediately recognized. This girl, she was everywhere. And this one is misguided, but once again, we've spoken about this before. She says, "You want to see other people? Due to my schizophrenia, I am other people." And it is that same misrepresentation of DID being in the same wavelength as schizophrenia. But you know what? The funny part about this is she looks like the kind of person, with this face that she's making, to actually conflate the ideas and make a statement like this. Someone who spends a lot of time online but who doesn't actually learn anything from what they see or hear online. They just kind of like spout whatever comes to their head. Again, not a personal attack on her. I bet she's a lovely person, but just an observation. Moving on, we have this meme showing a cat walking on two legs, I think. The resolution is really bad, but I couldn't find another that had this text. Anyway, it says, "I do this thing called whatever the voices tell me to." And for a lot of people, this is a reality. I know for me, when I was younger, my fan would talk to me and it would tell me things that I was supposed to do. And when you're faced with a hallucination that is demanding you do something, it's very, very hard to ignore or fight against. So it's interesting seeing this cat who would normally walk on all fours, walking on two legs and saying, more or less, the voices told me to do this, so therefore I'm going to do this. I think the message here is that animals like this can't walk on two legs. It's not good for them. It's not healthy. They should be walking on four legs. So even if the voices may tell us to do things that they think are right, that does not necessarily mean that they are right for us or that we should do them, lest we suffer some sort of injury or problem as a result. This one I find really interesting because it shows a guy pointing to an exit sign and the exit door, and it says, "Meet the people who don't want to be around me after learning I have schizophrenia." This one I don't know that I've had personal experience with. In fact, most of the people in my life, when I got my diagnosis and even after that, actually grew closer to me, even though I did everything I could to push them away because they knew my diagnosis. But I know in some cases where stigma is, held in high regard, there can be people that hear about an illness like schizophrenia and either fear that you are dangerous to other people or that you're going to somehow affect their lives, and that's just not the case. I mean, obviously, you will have an effect on anyone's life who is around you. There will be times when your symptoms will make those people's lives harder, but that does not mean that they have to leave your life. In fact, that's normally when you need them most. And if someone learns that you have schizophrenia and no longer wants to hang out with you, with no reason for that other than just the stigma that surrounds the title of the mental illness, then yeah, I guess the door is there. I also would say, though, that this is a really good time to inform people or explain. This may be a scary sounding diagnosis, but this is what it looks like and this is how you can help. That way we don't have to show everybody the door. Hopefully. All right, we are on our last meme, and this is a sad cat meme. I couldn't finish this list without having a sad cat meme. The walking cat did not count because it wasn't sad, at least that I could tell. Anyway, you see a sad cat sitting on a bed, and half of him is dematerializing into nothingness. And the caption says, "I take my schizophrenia pills," and my best friend says, "What have you done?" and starts disappearing. I wish that this one wasn't true for me because I think it might propagate a little bit of a stereotype, but I did, when I was much younger, have people I considered my best friends who did not exist. Now, it wasn't always the fact that I took my medication and then suddenly stopped hearing them. I would take my medication and they would sort of fade to the background, but they never really went away. And because I wasn't on really good medication, they would always sort of be there. So they never really, like I said, went away. There was never a moment of realization where it was like I took my medication. It was like, oh, boom, everything is sunshine and rainbows, and none of the people I consider, to be people, mean or pleasant or not, disappear all of a sudden. That's not really how it works. Now, when you are on good medication, these symptoms should taper off. If you have voices or you have hallucinations that you consider to be close to you for whatever reason, that happened to me as well. That's a way of coping with the situation. And yes, if you're on the right medication, maybe one day they do fade away. But I wouldn't say it's like this really dramatic moment where it's like the medication hits and you watch them fade before your eyes. Like, that's definitely the meme playing this up for comedic effect for sure. But, I can relate to this one. There are voices and hallucinations that I used to see constantly on an everyday basis that I don't see anymore now that I'm on the right medication. So there's that for what it's worth. Alright everybody, congrats on making it to the end of today's list. I sort of tossed this project in here as a filler project while I work on other things, so I hope that it's given you the chance to smile today and maybe learn a little bit about schizophrenia. I think the best kind of learning is done when you are enjoying the process and laughing through things, so I think memes are a really good method of getting the message across. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. I love you all and stay awesome. Bye!